Today we're going to learn we're going to dive into the world of radicals. What that means is roots. And we're going to play them pretty much for the next, the rest of this term. Okay? Simplifying radicals. So simplifying radicals. You can come up here by tray lift. So simplifying radicals. Now that quiz today actually showed you a little bit how to be able to do it, right? We're looking for pairs. The difference is we're going to start off right here when we have variables present. Now the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to simplify down the whole number. So underneath our square root, 12 simplifies down to 4 and 3, 2 and 2, right? So we're going to have a 2, and a 3. That's what 12 simplifies down. Now I'm going to do this out the long ways first, and then I'm going to show you how to do it shorter. So yeah, and then we're going to have 5 y's, and how many z's? 12. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, so I'm going to show you the shortcut. I'm just going to show you that you can do it out long ways first. And then I'm going to show you the shortcut. Where did I get what, Liv? I factored 12 first. So 12 goes down to 2, 2, and a 3. We will. Yep, so the first thing right there, that's it. That is 12y to the 5th, z to the 12th factored all the way out. Right there. This is the long way to write 12 y to the 5th, z to the 12th. Now what we're going to do is we're going to look for pairs, right? So we can figure out what we're going to pull out. So we have a pair of 2's. We have 2 pairs of y's. And how many pairs of z's are we going to have? 6 pairs. Good. So on the outside we're going to have a 2, 2 y's, 6 z's, and a 3 and a y left over underneath. Yep. Whatever you didn't have circled, right? So now for the shortcut. First off, you're always going to have to factor out the whole number. No matter what, you're always going to have to factor the whole number. Okay? Whatever the number is, you're going to have to factor it down. But with the variables are extremely easy. How many times does 2 go into 5? Well, it goes into it 2 times, so you're going to bring out 2 y's. Because it's odd, you're going to have 1 left over underneath. 2 goes into 12 6 times with nothing left over, so there's no z's left over. Does everyone see that? The variables are real easy. Figure out how many times 2 goes into it. If it's odd, you're going to have 1 left over inside of it. So let's do another one of these. Let's say we had the square root of 20 x to the 7th y to the 8th. So like I said, I'm not going to write it out long again. I'm going to show you the shortened abbreviated version to be able to... What the crap? Shortened abbreviation for this. So 20 goes down to 5 and 4 and 2 and 2. Do we have a pair? Pair of 2's, right? So we're going to bring out a 2. So I'm going to do it right here. Okay, how many times does 2 go into 7? 3 times, and we're going to have 1 left over, right? So we're already going to have a 5, and we're going to have 1x. And then how many times does 2 go into 8? And there's your answer. So you still have to factor the whole number, but the variables you don't have to. Does that make sense? You can just go 2 into them. So let's have you guys do it on your own here. Let's say we had the square root of 54 s to the 7th t to the 12th. What is a PEBT? P EBT. All right, Kinston, show your Chromebook. Okay, how do I do this one? Kinston, how? Okay, what two numbers multiply together to be 54? 27 and 2. What about 27? Kinston, help me. What are two numbers that multiply together to be 27? Okay, what about 9? Okay, so do we have a pair, Kinston? What are they? So on the outside we're going to have a 3, and left over we're going to have a 3 times 2, so a 6. Okay, how many times does 2 go into 7, Kinston? 3 times. With 1 left over because it's odd. How many times does 2 go into 12? And there's your answer. Who got it right? Raise your hand. What happened to everyone else? Trav, you even try. Trav is like, sometimes talking to Trav's like talking to a post.
I know.
There's a lot of truth to that. Okay, alright, that's how we simplify radicals. Now we're going to learn how to multiply them. The biggest thing about multiplying radicals is you multiply what's on the outside of the radical with what's on the outside, and you multiply with what's on the inside with what's on the inside. So for example, if I have the square root of 5 times the square root of 7, that's going to give me the square root of 35. Because those are both inside the radical, we can then multiply them together. Okay? And you only can multiply them if, is that me? I am Groot. You only can multiply them if and only if, this is Jake from State Farm. Thanks, Jake. Tool. Alright. So we have to then multiply them, okay? Now look, we then would have to then look to see if we can factor the 35 to simplify. Now this isn't going to give us any pairs, it's just going to give us a 5 and a 7. So we're done. Okay, any questions on that so far? Just multiplying very simply. Alright, so what about if we had this? So if I had the square root of 12 times the square root of 6. 72. So we multiply these two together and we get 72. Now we could start to factor. Now look, this is going to give us pairs. You always have to look to see if the root's going to give you pairs to see if you can simplify. Always. So we're going to look at this. It's going to give us 36 and 2. It's going to give us 18 and 2. 9 and 2. 3 and 3. So in this problem here, we're going to have a pair of 3s, a pair of 2s with 1 2 left over. So it's going to give us 3 times 2 is 6, square root of 2. So square root of 12 times the square root of 6 is 6 square root of 2. Because they're both underneath the radical, we can then multiply both of them together, and we're good to go. Okay? Here, try this one on your own, Travis. Everyone do it, but particularly Travis. Square root of 10 times the square root of 5. Go for it. got it, Brandon? Travis doesn't. Travis, how do we do it? So we times them together to get 50. 25 and 2. Do we have a pair? So on the outside, it's going to be what? Perfect. Who got that one right? Raise your hand. Okay, good. That's when multiplying's at its easiest right there. Is when you don't have any numbers on the outside and so on. Now you can have a problem that may look like this. You may have one that looks like 3 squared root of 2 times 4 squared root of 12. The only difference here is you're just going to multiply what's on the outside together. So 3 times 4, which is 12. And then 2 times 12, which is... So you may have one like that, where it's a 3 squared root of 2 times 4 squared root of 12. And if it's that, you're going to go 3 times 4, which is 12. 2 times 12, which is 24. And then you're going to factor 24 down, 6 and 2. Which is going to give you another pair of 2's. Now, what do we do with this other pair of 2's we get? Yeah, you have to bring it out here and you have to times it with 12. So that pair of 2's gets out here and multiplies to that to give you 24 square root of 6. So whatever's numbers, if you already have a number out here and you find a pair, when you bring out that number, you have to multiply it to the number that's out front to make 24. Okay? All right. Now let's get to the real hard stuff. You guys ready? So if we have 3 square root of 72 times the square root of 96. Yeah, I would never multiply 72 and 96 together and then factor. You could. I'm not saying you can't. But you guys understand the size of that number that's coming? So what I would do is what Kason said very first. I would break down 72 and 96 first. So 72, let's do it. This is 36 and 2, 18 and 2, 9 and 2, 3 and 3. 96 breaks down, and we'll simplify them here in a second. Goes down to 48 and 2, 24 and 2, 12 and 2, 6 and 2, 3 and 2. I'm going to show you why I would do this. It's going to make this a lot easier of a problem. So out of this first one, we're going to have a pair of 3's and a pair of 2's. What do we do with those? We times them, but what do we do with this 3 out here that's already out here? Yeah, so we have to go 3 times 3 times 2, which is going to give us 18 with a 2 left over, times this side we're going to have a pair of 2's and another pair of 2's, so 6 square root of 6. That's 4. I said 4. Thank you. It is 4. Now everyone look at this. How much easier is this problem now? A lot easier, right? You're not multiplying 72 and 96. You're multiplying 18 and 4. Does anyone know what that is? 72. And then 2 and 6, which is 12, and we're done, all right? Everyone should shake their head no. Why are we not done? You always have to look to see if you can factor the radical. So this gives us 6 and 2, 3 and 2. Do we get a pair? We're going to bring that number out, multiply it to 72 to give us 144 with the square root of 3 left over. And there's your answer. You have to go till you can't get any more pairs. So even though that's a really long problem, I can promise you, if we multiplied 72 and 96 together at the very first, I mean, that's at thousands, and then you're talking, it's a big factor train coming down. You would get the exact same answer, but it would be a lot, in my opinion, to be a lot harder. Now, there is some of you out here that think, I think it'd be easier. And that's great. Multiply them together and factor 7,887 or whatever it is, okay? I don't care. It's your choice at that point. All right, I want you guys to try one of these on your own. Here we go. If I have the square root of 18 times 3 square root of 50. Go for it. Three times 15 is 45. Or as Trey would say, 12. Huh?
That's dividing it.
Oh, yeah. No, still not. That's 5.
It's close enough.
Subtracting it.
Sure.
Trey, I'm proud of you. Who in here multiplied 18 and 50 together? Did someone do it?
I did.
You didn't even do it.
No, 45 square root of 4.
Well, that's it. Well, that's wrong if you got 45 square root of 4. Everyone look at him and go, all right, here we go, Preston. You got it with me. Factor 18 for me. Okay, what about 6? Okay, what about 50? What about 25? Okay, do we have a pair in 18? Shh, stay quiet. So we're going to have 3 squared of 2. Do we have a pair here? So you're going to multiply them out there, which is going to give you 15 squared of 2, right? So we're going to have 45 squared of 4. Okay, but this is the issue. Always look to do what at the very end? Always look to factor the radical. Can we get another pair here? 2 and 2. Which cancels it out and makes 90 your answer. Everyone see that? Who got it right? Raise your hand. Wrong. 90. Does everyone understand how I got 90? The minute you got a 2 and a 2, what happens to the radical? It just goes away. Okay, at that point. Okay, that's it. I'm going to let you guys go. This is 4-3, part 1. We're going to hit part 2 tomorrow. Oh, tomorrow you won't be here. Tomorrow you'll be taking the pre-ACT test down in the auditorium. You need to. I think they make you take it no matter what. They usually make you take it during like lunch or something. But it's a 3. Hey, listen. My advice to you is as follows. Tomorrow, and the very few of you will listen, but hopefully I get through to at least 1 or 2 of you. It's a 3.5-hour test. The test you'll be taking tomorrow. You're going to go into like 8:15, go to your first hour class, they'll excuse you, and then it goes till about noon. So, listen, he does give you a little break in between, but I would encourage you to eat something in the morning because, trust me, your mind's going to start to wander. But listen, this is a test you should want to try your very best at. You guys understand why, though? Because the ACT is how you get into college. These are your practice tests to be able to do it. I would do my very best because this is one of your few times you actually get a real life scenario of practicing for the ACT. Huh? I don't know. What's your name? Jumo. Jumo. I like Jumo. Your name should be Dale. Look like a Dale. Or Kirk. That looks like a Dale. Hello, Dale. Because you have kind of a drawl. Hello, Dale. You know? Hello, Dale. It is. What is the number? Got it? Hello, Dale.
Okay, so if it's, when people ask to the third, and then Z to the sixth, but how is that?
3x z cubed.
How would the Z be? It's Z cubed, yeah, why would that?
It'd be that, because 2 goes into 6 3 times.
You don't even know what it is.
Well, how many times does 2 go into 3? 1? Well, you have to factor 54.
Have we done this before? Yeah.
Last year.
Yeah.
Have we done this? Yes, we've done it.
So what's here? So now what?
You have a pair.
Okay, so I got, so it's yours, right?
Yep.
3.
How many times does 6 go into 12?
So where'd you get 6
I mean, 2. How many times does
2 at?
Well, how many? You're looking for pairs, right? How many numbers are in a pair?
2. So it's always 2 then?
Yep. How many times does 2 go into 12?
6.
So x to the 6 with no x's left over. How many times does 2 go into 5? No.
2?
2. Right? Because 2 goes into 5 2 times. With how many left over? If it's ever an odd number, you're going to have 1 left over underneath. So write 2y squared. And then have your square root. And then you have a 3 and a y. Because it's odd, you're always going to have 1 left over inside.
So if it's odd, you're always going to have
You're going to have 1 left over.
all the time.
Yep. If it's even, you won't have any.
So will that always be 2 then? Like y to the 2 or whatever 2?
Not always, because it just matters how many times 2 goes into it. 2 goes into 5 2 times. If it was y to the 80th, it'd be 40. Right? If it was y to the 11th, it'd be 5.
Yeah, okay.